Hello, and welcome to the final part of Module 1 of Advanced Data Journalism, doing more with R. This time, we're going to be talking about mutating and summarizing. And we're still going to be using the dplyr package. We've gone over all these functions called arrange, filter, select, and now we're going to go over the last really important bits called mutate, group by, and summarize. Now let's import the data first. Bring in that FEMA data, set it to df. We're going to glimpse it so we can get a look at what kind of columns we're working with once again. And now let's play around with mutate. And mutate is when you want to add columns and keep the existing structure of what you're working with. So we're going to first use this package called lubridate because I want to add some columns looking at specific years and months possibly of when these disasters occurred. So the package lubridate is also within the tidyverse suite of packages. It works really well with analyzing data, and it works well specifically with dates. So you can extract year, month, day from a date field, and it also helps convert data that is hard to interpret, human-written dates, and then it converts it into a format in R that is recognized as a date, so that you can do stuff like extract year and month, or maybe even like time calculations. So let's start out with the data frame, and we're going to narrow things down to just 4 columns. I want to know the string of the ID. I want to know what state it occurred in. I want to know when it occurred, or when the disaster was declared, and I want to know what type of incident it was. So I've still got 63,000 rows, but now I've got 4 columns. And now I want to add the function mutate. And the function mutate works like the first argument you give it is pretty much the name of the new column you want to create, and then equals, and then whatever math or function you want to call. In this instance, we want to use the function year from the package lubridate, and we're going to apply it to the column for declaration date. So you can see here, we started out with 4 columns, and now we've got 5 called year, and you can see it has extracted the year from the dates of the declaration. Pretty easy. All right, so next step after mutate is summarize. So that's when you don't want to add a new column, but you want to collapse it to just summarize all the data within whatever. So let's start out with the data frame. I want to summarize to just count up how many disasters are there. Now I could just have read that based on the output. I know there's 63,000, but if I want a number itself, that's the way I can do this. So summarize disasters equals n. And n is a function that just counts things, or a number, that's what it means. So you can see it's similar to mutate, where first argument is the column name, and then equals, and then I could have done math here, but I just went or a function, and the function is n. So this counts it up, has a nice number. Okay, so now I can use summarize in conjunction with group by. Okay, so this counts up disasters totally in this data set, but what if I want to count up the disasters by? Okay, start out with the df, select to 4 different columns, add the year. Okay, do you see where I'm going with? What if I want to figure out how many disasters there are per year? And so I've set everything up in my process, and now I add a group by after I do the mutate. And actually I'm not doing it by year, I'm doing it by state. I want to figure out how many disasters there are per state. And then I do disasters. Okay, so this is similar to count. Okay, but count collapses of these 2 lines into 1 line. Group by, state, and summarize. So there's 2 lines. Okay, so you can see here group by state. Now I can do group bys in any other way. I can do group by incident type. So now you can see it quickly iterates or cycles through a different type of summary. So now I can see biological happen about 7,000 times, chemical 9 times, coastal storm 637 times. I can see Alabama 1,652 times. So it's pretty powerful, this group by. Okay, I can also add more than 1 group bys. I can do state and incident type. So you see it's just separated by a comma. So now I can see Alaska, 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 and I can see everything that happened within Alaska, all these different disasters. So I can see biological outnumbers everything so far, at least in the first 10 rows. Okay, I can also add a third argument. Count up the number of disasters by state by year. Okay, so I can see, oh, most of these biological disasters happened in Alaska in 2020. And do you know what happened in 2020? That would be COVID. So you can kind of see that now based just by adding some group bys. You get a little bit more insight after drilling down in the data like this. All right, so next I want to show you is this function that works really well with Mutate. And this is a function called case when. And it's pretty much a stand-in for if else, if you've programmed before. And how that works is if else. So it works with Mutate, like I said. Danger equals case when, and then this is saying if the type in this column ever matches Kraken, then, which is represented by the tilde sign, which is shift the number next to the key next to the 1 on your keyboard, then danger, you're going to mark it as extreme. Otherwise, comma, and then true tilde high. That means if it's not Kraken, if it's anything but Kraken, then mark it as high. So this is and so this is what it means. This is your way of saying if this, then this. Okay, if not this, then do this. So you can see Kraken matches here. So the danger, the new column we've added, is extreme, extreme. And then everything else, Dragon, Cyclops, and Dragon, there's two different ones, but none of them are Kraken, so we just give them the default, whatever it is, which is high. Okay, so you start out with the DF, data frame. I want to select it just to narrow down to the 4. And I add the year from Mutate. So this time I want to add a category. I want to group all the years by, let's say, 10-year intervals. So then I create a new column called year group using the mutate function. And then I use case when. So then it says, like, check the year column. If the year is earlier than 1960, then give it 1950 to 1959. If it's after, greater than or equal to 1960, but lower than 1969, then call it 1960 to 1969, so on and so forth. And then finally, at the end, it says, like, anything that's if it doesn't match any of these, 1950s to 2019, if it's higher than that, then make it 2020 and over. Okay? So then this is what it looks like. So these data sets fall under 2022 because it's 2020 plus. All right. And then I can group by that new year group and then summarize. So we see a little bit cleaner how many disasters there have been over the decades. And surprisingly, or maybe not unsurprisingly, the number of disasters declared so far in this decade is 70,000. And it's not even up to like 2029 yet. We're only in 2022. So we're already at pace to beating those records. Last time it was that high was in the 2000s, in the early aughts. So, interesting. So we've already kind of got like a story idea out of this. Okay, so we've gone over arrange, filter, select, function, summarize, and group bys. Gone through a lot, and those are the basic stuff. I really encourage you to go and do the exercises now to reinforce what you've learned, and also it builds on what we talked about in this class, this lecture. So great job on completing Module 1. I will see you for Module 2 soon. Take care.